Welcome to the Rethink Sales Show. My name is Derek Kelly. I'm joined by Jim Shorkey and Mark Mastriano. Mark, you are expert counsel. You have helped Jim through his recovery from his stroke. And off camera, we were just talking about the importance of grip strength and the importance of how a lot of these factors in our functional movement determine our longevity, right? And we were talking about how that's so crucial to being a salesperson and how crucial it is to just living a fulfilled life. So Mark, can you speak to us just about what is grip strength and why does it matter and how does it matter as you age? And then I'm sure Jim will deeply provide more insight and start to connect how all of this connects back to sales and living out your mission.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, as he said, my name is Mark Mastriano, and we were talking off camera about the grip strength. And so to answer what is grip strength, we have in our hands, we have tons of little muscles, and there's intrinsic muscles, right? The ones for fine motor versus gross motor, which is a big motion. So when we go to shake a hand, not only are you using gross motor, which is all these firing, but you're using those intrinsic muscles too, the fine ones. Wow. And as we get older, in general, the further the muscles are away from you, we call that, as a physical therapist, distally, the further away they are, the quicker they start to go.
Wow. Boy,
right?
That's interesting.
So besides our feet, our hands are the outlook of what we do.
It's us.
Yeah, it's our hands and our feet. As we get older, everything starts to lose, right? We have to fight more to not lose that. When we're 20 years old, we have, again, I don't want to get too technical, but we have a lot more stem cells. Stem cells are what builds our body, right? When you're born, you have, I think, billions of stem cells. And over time, I think every 10 years, you lose approximately half of those stem cells. There's some science behind nowadays that they're actually injecting stem cells into people that were injured, and they get fantastic results because that's what heals us, for lack of a better word.
Right.
So our grip strength is vital to just being able to do what we want to do, which in return then makes us feel better because we can do it, right? And if you're feeling better, then we know that we want to do more. And if we do more, as we've discussed, then we have a better chance of living longer, the longevity piece.
Yeah, that's so crucial, right? Because as Jim always talks about, wanting to be on the porch with Lila, right?
Yeah.
And being able to meet, let's say at some point, if she gets married and has children, you want to meet your granddaughter's children, right? And so the importance of living a more fulfilled life. And so often we talk to you guys, salespeople, entrepreneurs, and you're hard workers, you're working hard, you're making sales. But often there's this disconnect of, I'm just pushing more harder, and we don't take care of ourselves. And so we felt like it was an important piece. We always talk about the importance of sales is personal development. That's what the crew was watching on social media today that we launched. Sales is personal development.
It is.
And physical therapy has a lot to do with developing as a person.
Well, it's personal development. Well, Mark, I don't necessarily like the way this discussion is headed, so I'm going to open up a big can here. So let's be clear here, Mark and Derek and ladies and gentlemen. Grip strength is a result. It's a result. Results from thinking. Results are the name of the game. Grip strength is a result. I have a massive chill right now. So what should we be focused on? The result, grip strength, or what do we have to do to have the grip strength?
And that's why you said you don't like where it's heading.
Because grip strength is a result. Just like a bank account, how much is in a bank account, good, bad, or whatever, it's a result. A business, the financial statements in a business, these are results. Now, the question that we bring expert counsel in for is, how do we improve our financial statement? How do we improve our bank account? How do we improve our grip strength? Please.
So I will go over a few of those that you can do, absolutely. But in general, I was talking earlier about gross motor. A lot of things, what you want to do is you want to break them down. To do just that gross motor would be just to squeeze a stress ball. Right? Easy. Stress ball. That's using everything, and it's hard. But a better idea would be to take a towel and put the towel on the table and just inchworm it, right? That's going to squeeze. That's going to work our flexors, right?
Yeah.
That's a nice one. There's different grips that we work on, right? There's a pincher grip. There's the opposition, right? So from here to here. Why do we need opposition? You've heard before, right? We have opposable thumbs, right?
Yes.
That's so vital for being human.
It is.
How am I going to open my medicine bottle if I can't move my thumb?
You can't.
right? So you have to practice that. You can do that by using your kids' Play-Doh. If you don't have Theraputty, which is something that you could buy at any of the stores, and you can work on just pinching it.
Yeah.
You can actually put something in between your fingers and squeeze. That's what is so fascinating, and why I get up in the morning, to be honest, is because you shouldn't be treating everybody the same from a physical therapy standpoint.
Yep.
I walk into somebody's house or into the office or wherever, and I take a look at them and I talk to them. Just like a salesperson. You figure out what it is. If Jim comes in and he says he wants to work on grip strength, I write that down. Why would he want to work on grip strength? Because you have to be able to hold a pen, right? To write your name, to sign checks.
Yep.
So there's so many different things. And I think that in general, we just look for the end result and we don't know how to get there.
Yeah.
Correct.
But speaking to that, I want you to speak to what I'm going to say next, because I'm learning.
I know, it's
today.
great. Yeah,
I'm
me
learning.
too.
Opposable thumbs. This is human beings, the only ones that have. Chimpanzees, apes, they don't have opposable thumbs. Believe it or not, we are the only animal on the planet that can carry stuff. We're it. Chimpanzee can carry. No, they really can't. They might carry a banana, but they can't carry stuff because their body is not designed to run carrying. Ours is. So we're the only ones that can carry stuff. A lion cannot carry stuff. They can carry it in their mouth. Not the same thing. Okay, then the next one that we can do that no other animal can do is we can throw. And throwing would probably be a good idea, actually. Just get out and throw a ball back and forth. Other animals can't. I saw a chimpanzee throw. No, they can't aim. They can throw something, but it's almost like it's just very haphazard. They really can't throw. We can. We can throw things very scientifically. And so these are adaptations that we have from long time ago that, and I want Mark to speak to this, that I think we need to bring back and work on. By the way, don't go out and throw 100 footballs in a row. Maybe throw 4 or 5. You'll wake up the next morning with a sore shoulder. I can tell you that. You will. So do some throwing. I'm learning how to carry. You interrupt me and tell me, no, Jim, you're wrong. It would be a good idea to take some dumbbells, put them in our hands, and just walk a certain distance. They say, correct me if I'm wrong, they say you should be able to carry your body weight, which for me is 160, and I can't do this. So I'm telling you right now, I can't do it. But you should be able to carry your body weight a certain distance. I think it's like 100 yards or something like that.
80% or so.
100%. But I'm not going to. But certainly, I think probably for me right now to carry 50 pounds would be really challenging. Yeah. And I probably need to start with 25 or 30 to get going. But the point is, though, is that carrying is a functional movement.
Right.
Throwing is a functional movement.
And I think what is really interesting with that is people think that, just throwing a ball is such a single thing. It's not. If you're standing up when
very
you're throwing,
complicated.
Yeah. What to me again makes me passionate is to be able to stand up and throw a baseball or a football. How many different systems, not only just my hand, that we've already talked about, right?
This guy here,
but your brain, your balance, feeling
So
your
hard.
feet on the ground, the proprioception. The expansion and contraction of the lungs as you breathe, it's a big deal. And it's fun. I think that's one of the things that maybe the audience can take home is we're not just boring people, right? No. When you think of exercise, unfortunately, sometimes with physical therapy, you think about people sitting in a chair and kicking their leg out or doing seated marches. It doesn't have to be that way, right? It could be fun. It can be functional. It can be outcomes that you can see.
Yeah.
Now, again, you're not going to see them right away. It takes 6 weeks for the hypertrophy or building of muscle. Yep. It takes 2 days to lose muscle, and it takes 6 weeks to build muscle. So this is not the only reason, but I think that's one of the reasons that these unfortunate New Year's resolutions don't work a lot of the time.
You're right.
Because people want instant gratification. I went to the gym yesterday.
Big deal.
How many times have you been there? Once. Why can't I squat 400 pounds? Because you went once, right? And you haven't done anything for the last 7 years. It's all relative. You have to start small. And if you want this longevity, if you want to be able to do things when you're older, you want to start now. That's the key.
Yes, so good stuff. And it's the same, ladies and gentlemen, it's the same for selling cars. So you don't know how to sell cars, and you're going to learn, and I'm the expert. I can teach you how to sell cars. I can. But we got to start small. We got to start small. What's the first thing? We should learn how to greet the customer. We should learn how to shake hands. We should learn how to maintain eye contact. We don't want to crush the person's hand. That's going to be a distraction. We want to give them a nice, solid grip, but not crushing their hand. Look them in the eye, introduce ourselves to the client, hand them our business card, get their name, hopefully, and write it down. And then we want to try to get to know them a lot better in a very short period of time to figure out, okay, out of all the cars that we have presently in the building, which one might be the best one for Mark here? And if I ask him the right questions, I could throw a minivan out there and Mark would say, I don't like minivans. Like, I hate minivans. Okay, I just made the wrong move, pulled a minivan down because he said he likes to play soccer. I hate minivans. We just had a setback. So if I ask the right questions, I will know that the one I need to pull down is maybe the midsize SUV, or maybe he really is ready for a Ford or Senate, or maybe he's ready for a sports car. And he's going to keep he has a Toyota RAV4. So he's going to keep that for his general move around, but he wants a little convertible. If I don't ask the right questions, I'm going to pull that Toyota down, and it's the wrong choice.
What kind of questions too, right? Open-ended.
Absolutely, yeah. And I don't want to get into that today because it's not fair to this audience, but at the end of the day, yes, just like Mark, when he's doing a sales process of sorts when he comes to me, and he asks me these very calculated questions to determine where we're going to go. We need to just do the same thing from a sales perspective. And that's why I'm here to tell you, if you want to build your business, this is going to help you. If you want to become a bit better at something, anything, this is going to help you. If you want to become a better eater, which is important, this is going to help you. It's all the same thing. Find somebody who knows more than you, have a conversation, and get to work on what the things are you should be eating and the things that you should stop eating. I have reasons why that do, in fact, make me cry. So I'll let you guys continue.
Mark, I just love your ability to take these conceptual things like longevity and make them really practical. Okay, grip strength really allows you to do all these fine motor movements and macro motor movements at the same time. And I think a lot of us, we talk a lot about goal setting, right? And it sounds like when you're having those open-ended questions with patients that you're meeting with, you're trying to figure out what are their goals and how do you as expert counsel help them move toward their goals. It's the same exact thing that Jim would do with a customer. What are your goals? What do you want? You came here to buy a car. What do you want? What is your goal? Same thing when I'm building a website for a client or helping them get a marketing plan, right? That's often the question that comes to me. And I said, wait a minute, Mark, what do you need? Why do you want a website? Every business needs a website.
Not a good reason.
What do you need a website for? I think I can actually drive more traffic and then therefore sell more t-shirts.
Now we're talking.
Okay. So we're talking about you want to actually increase your sales, Mark. Yes. Okay. If you build a website and hope they come, that's not going to work. And you're saying, oh yeah, duh. We need a strategy to figure out how your website fits in to your overall goal.
That, ladies and gentlemen, results from thinking. That is what we do. And you just heard it encapsulated into what these two fellows just interacted on. Where do you want to go? Why do you want to get there? And how do we get there in the most efficient manner possible? And I want to build a website. That's not a goal. I want to sell more t-shirts. Now we got to go. Okay, hold on. How many do you want to sell? I want to sell 1,000. How many are you selling now? I'm selling 100. Okay, we got work to do. And there you go. That's it. That's the discussion. I've been working on an eccentric thing, by the way.
Oh, good.
And
I love eccentric.
Yeah, Jim III said you got to walk downhill. And you would think it's important to walk uphill, right?
Yeah,
and
that's what I would think. Yeah.
But it's also important to walk downhill. Can you explain it? Eccentric, what is that? Tell me that for the audience. Not medical advice.
Yeah.
Just for me.
Just in general, so the easiest way to explain what the difference between concentric and eccentric control is, and I always use bicep because most people understand what a bicep curl is. Even if you don't lift weights, right? You hold a weight and you curl it. That's working your biceps. Arnold Schwarzenegger, humongous biceps, right? That is concentric motion of my bicep. That is the way that my biceps are supposed to work, okay? That is a flexor, and I am flexing my arm. Now, you can also work that same bicep by holding a weight and going down slowly, right? That is eccentric. That is working this muscle in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
I tell people when I do my therapy or life coach or whatever you want to call me, if you do any kind of exercises slow and controlled, you get more bang for your buck, right? You're getting strength training in both directions, right? Who wouldn't want more bang for your buck?
I do.
Everybody does.
I do.
So that is what the difference between concentric and eccentric is, right?
That's what expert counsel does for you. Explain these things that you probably don't necessarily know. And if I wanted to avoid hip replacement, knee replacement surgery going forward, would the eccentric and concentric formula be a good idea?
Yeah, absolutely.
You said, what age should I start doing this stuff?
Today, now, however old you are.
Well,
however,
as a 30-year-old or a 20-year-old, you're probably not thinking about hip replacement surgery at 60, but shouldn't you be?
yes, that's what I'm saying. However old you are right now is when you should start it. Don't put off today what you can do tomorrow. So absolutely yes.
This is great advice.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, you may think, I'm 67, you're 30. What's that got to do with me? Every single thing has to do with you. When should we start the sales training?
Today.
When should we start the financial planning? When should we start working? Should we start working on our marriage the day after we get divorced? No, it's too late, too far gone.
Yeah.
So we should start today.
Yep.
I've been married. I've only been married for a year. Good. Start right now.
Yeah,
Start
absolutely.
Right now.
Yeah.
Start right now. Yeah.
Make that to-do list.
Yeah.
And
And to not do list.
not yes. And I always say this, and again, this is only expert counsel, but I just love this. And my background, I worked in a ventilator unit at a hospital for 5 years. Tough job, right?
job.
And so I've seen a lot of different things, and that's where I started. And I'm glad it went that way. And now I do a little bit different things. But when I would go into a room, and expert counsel, in my opinion, says that out of 100%, it's 80% willingness, 20% diagnosis. So what does that mean? Again, this is me, Mark Mastriano, talking. It means that I read people's charts, and these people were on ventilators. I would see some of these people walk out of the hospital. And then I would see other people that I would read the chart, and I would go, okay, this, though they're on a ventilator, this isn't terrible. And then they would die. And so over the time, I feel like in general walks, it's 80% willingness. So that means that if you're willing to put the time in, then longevity
Yeah. Am I?
could come. Yes, you have the most willingness out of anybody. If 100% willingness, you're 110%.
Okay. Say that again. And I mean it not to brag about Jim Shorkey, but that is a key factor in my success.
Absolutely.
I can remember when my dad died on March 24th, 1996. If I knew half as much as I thought I knew when my dad died, I would have been really smart. 2 years later, because I was an idiot and I didn't know, I was bankruptcy imminent. Too much month at the end of the money. I was a negative $100,000 in the bank account. It was overdrawn. And I was in big trouble, bankruptcy imminent. And I had gone to a class to learn about dealership finances and accounting and this kind of a thing. And I did this thing, it's called a Z factor, which I'm not going to get into that, but it was a measure of your financial stability, your liquidity, how strong you were from a business perspective. And my number came up bankruptcy imminent. I go up to the guy afterwards. I waited until everybody left the room. I just was so embarrassed. I go up and said, "This is my number." I said, "This isn't happening. This is my dad's business. This is not going to be my dad's legacy. It's not happening." And so I said to this guy was a CPA. I said, "What do I do?" He said, "Jim, you got to cut everything." I'll never forget this. He said, "You got to cut the paper clips. You got to cut everything." So I go back to the dealership and I just start going over every single item. What can I cut? What can I cut? What can I cut? Because the more I cut, I lowered my expenses, which lowered my break-even point. And if I got the break-even point down low enough and then I just had to sell beyond it, then I would make money and replenish that bank account. So I did exactly that. And in the interim, I also went to Mr. Hamilton, and I've talked about that many times, and he gave him that list there. One of the things he told me was cash is king. And I didn't really understand that. And he said, you got to know your cash. You got to know how much cash you have in the bank. You got to know what's draining it, what's building it, all that. One of them was open your own mail. Two was you sign every check, and it has to have documentation with it or you don't sign it. And then you get the bank statement from the bank, and you see a check, because we had other people signing checks back then, which I stopped. But at the time, there was still some stuff filtering through. And I looked at every single check. And if my signature wasn't on that check, I called my people and said, "Hey, I didn't sign this check. I am signing all the checks. This is not acceptable." And so I changed that. And that was that idea was what caused this thing to flip to where you can Google Jim Shorkey Family Auto Group. And I know you think I'm full of crap, perhaps. A lot of people do. I understand that. But, Mark, did I have a stroke?
Yes.
Did I have 3 brain bleeds?
Yes.
Was I bankruptcy imminent?
Yes.
Was I a negative $100,000 in the bank account?
Yes.
I was sitting with Chuck Bellina, who we miss Chuck.
Yes.
Okay, in my other house, sitting at the dining room table. And I'm talking to Chuck Bellina about bankruptcy imminent. And I love Chuck, by the way. Miss that guy. I said, Chuck, I'm talking about, I tell him the whole story I just told you guys. I said, Chuck, you don't believe me, do you? He said, come on, Jim, you're a salesman. Come on, you exaggerate. I said, okay. I said, hang tight. Phone's right in the middle of the table. I called Tom Eugen, who unfortunately has passed as well as Chuck has, died. And I said to Tom, and Tom was a big F-bomber. I said to Tom, Tom, I got you on speakerphone. I'm sitting here with Chuck Bellina. So let's not do the F-bomb thing. And we're laughing. I said, when you first came to work with me back in 1998, I said, was I bankruptcy imminent? He starts laughing. He says, my goodness, you were way beyond bankruptcy imminent. I said, what do you mean? He said, you were ready to fall off a cliff. And I asked him a very profound question, which you guys all need to listen to right now. I said, Tom, did you think I was going to recover from that? And he said, a little bit of vernacular, he said, there's no way in hell. You weren't getting out of that mess. You were done. I said, how'd I do? Did pretty damn good. I'm doing it again, guys. I'm doing it again.
Yeah.
My doctors all told me, shoulda, coulda, woulda died. But guess what? I ain't ready. I got work to do. So there we go.
Man, that is inspiring. You just hear the story of overcomer, right? Jim is such an overcomer. And I'm sure, Mark, you see so many people that just, that 80% willingness, right? They're trying to figure out how to overcome, and you get to be that piece that comes in and is that expert counsel.
Big piece.
To help them overcome.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, guys, if you're listening to this, thank you so much. We want to inspire you to do what we're doing to learn to overcome.